County Governor Ali Hassan Joho there reacting after being barred from attending that particular event, a presidential event, which the governor terms as public, the recommissioning of the Mtongwe ferry. And besides that big story happening in court today, doctors who have been on strike for 100 days headed to the Court of Appeal amid a cloud of uncertainty. Last week, appellate judges Hannah Okwengo, Martha Koome and Kantai Ole Sankale directed the Health Ministry, governors and the Doctors' Union officials to finalize the signing of the 3 key documents to end the 3-month-old strike. The entire case is now shrouded in uncertainty, even as the national government and governors made it clear that they will not be holding any further talks with doctors, and as a matter of fact, they cancelled all offers made to the doctors. Okay, let's now speak to our reporter Rita Tinina, who attended that particular court session in the morning. Rita, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This latest twist of the government and the county governments pulling out of the talks and withdrawing the offer that they had made the doctors, where did this place them, even with the court hearing today?
Well, Akisa, first of all, I would say let's begin at the court, where I would term it as the usual drill. For the last 4 weeks, what we have seen is that the Court of Appeal giving more time to parties in the dispute to come to an agreement. The difference is that today they were given an ultimatum, a 1-day ultimatum to reach an agreement. Last week, when they were in court, the court ordered that within the next 7 days, the 7 days lapsed today, that they should come up with an agreement, decide what documents will be signed first. But what happened that Tuesday afternoon is that the government, as you mentioned, withdrew its offer to the doctors. It ordered all the striking doctors to return to work and pulled out of negotiations. So between last Tuesday and today, nothing much has happened. There was nothing much to report in court. But the Doctors' Union officials, lawyers, Senior Counsel James Orengo, Philip Murgor said that despite the fact that the government withdrew, the Doctors' Union officials on their part have been doing something to try and resolve this stalemate. And so in court, they presented a draft return to work formula. Remember last week, the issue was what should be signed first. The doctors wanted a recognition agreement with county government signed first, then the CBA, a revised CBA to be signed without amendments, and then they can return to work. So today we can say the doctors have given in. Last week, what the government and the county governments wanted is that the doctors return to work first, then a recognition agreement to be signed, then a CBA to be signed. So with the doctors giving in, saying they are ready to sign the return to work formula, that return to work formula, 5 pages, we have managed to see it. They want 15 things addressed. Among them is that they want within 7 days of signing the return to work formula that a recognition agreement with all the 47 counties be signed. They also want the CBA to be implemented, signed and registered at the Employment and Labor Relations Court within 4 days. They also want all the doctors to receive a risk allowance of 20,000 shillings per month. They are also asking that the call allowance be renamed doctor's allowance before they can call off the strike. Those are some of the issues in those 15 demands by the doctors. But in court, other parties, State Counsel from the Attorney General's office, as well as the Council of Governors, saying that they had not seen this draft by the doctors, and so they were not in a position to speak about it, to address it. Since last week, the government withdrew a draft CBA that it had given the doctors before the 2 parties could agree on anything. So today, the doctors having their own draft return to work formula. On the other side, the government Council of Governors saying they don't have one yet. And so the court saying starting now, that was around 11 a.m. this morning, start working on an agreement, start working on agreements on what should be signed first. But when the judges, Martha Koome, leading that 3-judge bench, asked them, since they had perused the document in court, the draft return to work formula by the doctors, the lawyers for the Government Council of Governors had perused it, and the judges wanted to know what is the difference between that draft return to work formula by the doctors and what the government had offered last week. And so they said it was a matter of allowances. This is one of the issues that has been contentious throughout this stalemate. And last week, when the government withdrew its offer, that is the offer that the government says the doctors have included in their return to work formula, but it doesn't exist since the government withdrew its offer. And in the return to work formula by the doctors, what they want is that call allowance, which they won't rename the doctor's allowance. They want to have the lowest paid, a medical intern, to receive the doctor's allowance of 66,000 shillings a month, and the highest paid, a chief medical specialist, to receive 80,000 shillings a month. And as a sign of goodwill, religious leaders under the Inter-Religious Council of Kenya, who managed to get the parties to agree and on the harmonized SRC harmonized figures, they managed to get the doctors to agree to that. They have been heading these negotiations. And so today at the court, they said after the judges ordered the parties to be back in court tomorrow morning with an agreement, they agreed to continue leading this process, and they called for a meeting this afternoon. So all eyes will be on the court tomorrow morning. What happens there? The judges made it clear that if the parties do not agree by tomorrow, 10 a.m., when they will be back in court, then they will refer the matter back to the Employment and Labor Relations Court. That is where the labor dispute is being handled. The appeals court is only handling the contempt of court case. This is when the 7 union officials were committed to civil jail by the Employment and Labor Relations Court. They appealed at the Court of Appeal, and the court released them pending the hearing of this matter. And today there was initially confusion. Last week the judges had indicated that this week they will not be around. They will be in Mombasa attending some training. And so the judges today mentioned that they had set aside that training just to listen to this case. Initially they told the doctors to sit aside with the government, the Council of Governors, and agree on the way forward. And if they agreed, then they go to Mombasa where the judges are, and the judges then will record that agreement. But following pleas by James Orengo, Philip Murgo, then the judges said, we'll wait here tomorrow before we go to Mombasa. We'll wait here at 10 a.m. and see if you will have come up with an agreement, if all parties will have agreed and signed the return to work formula. So tomorrow morning, we're expecting that return to work formula be signed. And after it's signed, now that the doctors have agreed that it's signed, they will call off the strike when it's signed and have a recognition agreement signed within 7 days, and have the CBA, a revised CBA that they say should not be amended, to be signed and registered in another 14 days, I beg your pardon. Akisa.
All right, Rita, thank you very much for that update. Our senior reporter, Rita Tinina there, joining us from our City Center studios.